Hello friends, this is Nirmal for Technique, and in this video, we'll have a detailed camera comparison of the Asus Zenfone 5Z with the Honor 10. Before analyzing the camera samples, let's first have a look at the hardware offered from these two devices. The Asus Zenfone 5Z has a 12 megapixel primary camera with Sony IMX363 sensor with a f-stop 1.8 aperture and large 1.4 micron pixel. There is a secondary 8 megapixel shooter for wide angle photos. The selfie camera on the Asus Zenfone 5Z is an 8 megapixel shooter with f-stop 2.0 aperture. The phone can record videos in both 1080p resolution and 4K resolution at 60 fps. Now coming to the Honor 10. It packs a 16 megapixel primary camera with f-stop 1.8 aperture. The secondary camera is a 24 megapixel black and white sensor with f-stop 1.7, and the selfie camera is a 24 megapixel shooter with f-stop 2.0 aperture. The phone can record videos in both the 1080p and 4K resolutions. Now let's have a look at the video sample. So here is the video sample recorded in 1080p resolution with stabilization enabled on both the phones. Both the cameras have good details and richer colors. The Zenfone 5Z has an issue with exposure levels in the video, and in some areas it looks underexposed. The Zenfone 5Z can record videos in 4K and 1080p at 60 fps, while Honor 10 can do it at 30 fps. Both the phones offer stabilization in 1080p resolution, while Asus Zenfone 5Z offer it at 4K recording as well. With more features in the video recording, the Zenfone 5Z has definitely an edge, but Asus needs to fix the exposure issues. Now let's have a look at the daylight captures. You can see both the devices produce good results overall. The details and sharpness levels are impressive on both the phones. While shooting the images in extreme greenery, the Honor 10 with AI enabled mode has a tendency to oversaturate the image, while the Asus Zenfone 5Z is a bit more closer to reality in terms of the color reproduction. So it's better to shoot with the Honor 10 without the AI mode in such situations. But the moment you turn off the Auto HDR mode in the Zenfone 5Z, the images look dull and underexposed. We mentioned this in our detailed camera review as well. So in terms of daylight captures, both the cameras did a really good job overall. Coming to the close-up images, you can see that the color reproduction looks quite similar on both the phones. Even when you zoom into images, you can see both devices offer good details and sharpness levels. Now looking at the low light samples, the large 1.4 micron pixel sensor with f-stop 1.8 helps in more light in the sensor, and as a result you could see the photos looks a bit better on the Zenfone 5Z with lesser noise levels. The color reproduction in low light conditions looks similar on both these devices. The Asus Zenfone 5Z even though has a tendency to over sharpen the images in order to reduce the noise. In low light segment we would say the Asus Zenfone 5Z definitely has an edge. Next up, the portrait samples. Both the devices have the ability to adjust aperture values, although Honor 10 has a dedicated wide aperture mode. Here you could see that the images are underexposed a bit on the Asus Zenfone 5Z, while it has come better on the Honor 10. The Honor 10 also has the issue of making the portrait shots a bit artificial in nature. The edge detection is also superior on the Honor 10, while the Zenfone 5Z messes up with the edges at times. Finally, the selfie camera. The 24 megapixel shooter on the Honor 10 makes the images a lot brighter, and the skin tones are too whitish and not real colors. But on the other hand, the Zenfone 5Z colors looks closer to reality even with the 8 megapixel shooter. Both the cameras have portrait mode for selfies, and here Honor 10 is a bit more accurate even though it's not perfect. So this is the front-facing camera sample taken with the Asus 5Z. So this has an 8 megapixel shooter capable of recording videos in 1080p resolution, and you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is, and also the audio output from the video recording taken using the Asus Zenfone 5Z. So this is the front-facing camera sample taken with the Honor 10. So this can record videos in 1080p resolution, and it also has electronic image stabilization offered for the front-facing camera. So you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the 1080p sample is from the Honor 10's front-facing 24 megapixel shooter. Now summing up, which is the better camera smartphone? Having looked at the images, it's hard to pick a winner from these two devices because both these devices have their own strengths and weaknesses. One area where the Zenfone 5Z impressed us is the low light performance and also the close-up images where there was an edge for the Zenfone 5C. The Zenfone 5C also needs an update to fix the exposure issues and also the portrait mode. The Honor 10 is better of the two in portrait mode, both in rear and front cameras. So we would leave to our viewers to decide based on their priority after having a look at these samples. So that was a camera comparison of the Honor 10 with the newly launched Asus Zenfone 5C. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button for more videos. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.